By mere virtue of sharing living quarters with the enemy, you're in the fighting zone of the war. He is also in the fighting zone of a war. He might not know that on the day you say I do, on the day you go on your first date, on the day you go to Milky Lane and exchange pleasantries. You might not know that. The devil knows how to be patient, how to hunker down until it's time to pounce, okay? When you know it's time to fight is when bombs get dropped in your camp. Suddenly, that's how you know how close to the front lines of battle you are. So the entities that dwell in this man, the demons that dwell in this man that he's likely had since he was a child, given that he never gave his life to Jesus Christ, they're still in him. You will see how much of their ugly hairs they can rear now that they're in the climate of a Christian. Entities can lie dormant in a guy that you call nice and sweet for years. But my oh my, watch how he treats the new colleague that starts that's a Christian. You will think Chris is out of character. You will think Chris has lost his mind. He's unhinged. I don't know what Cassandra ever did to Chris, but there is something inside Chris that can't stand the spirit of Cassandra, and otherwise a sweet dude will act awry because these demons will manifest in the climate of a saint. Now, if you go and you say and you cause Chris and Cassandra to marry, what in the world? Chris will understand that he's in the front lines of satanic battle, and Cassandra, if at all she is not sober for the day, will find out the hard way that she was placed at the front lines by the irresponsible decision to accommodate an ungodly man and marry him. You will learn the hard way that rest, the Sabbath rest, peace, chill, tranquility in a relationship, in a marriage, is literally dissolved at I do. The moment you allow yourself knowingly with that gut feel that's out here churning in your belly to marry an ungodly man, you will have had all the warning signs in the run-up to. And in the run-up to, because of the fact that being in the same climate as him puts you at the front lines of battle, you will have experienced his manifestations. He will have burst out into anger. He will have ghosted you. He will have passed you reverse psychology shade, acted in the beginning of you dating like he didn't like you. Like you didn't even know that this guy had a crush on you until 3 or 4 or 5 weeks had progressed and you ended up walking out of a room because he says something rude to you and you got upset and were hurt, and upon storming out, then only, he chases after you on some, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It's just that this, that, and the other, only for you to find out that this guy that's been treating you like the scum of the earth, like bubblegum underneath his feet, actually likes you. Whoa, but things culminated to a point where you stormed out of a room because he was so rude. He's known all this time that he likes you, and yet he chose to treat you like trash. And you think that's romantic? You think it's romantic for a guy to treat you like nonsense that claims to have strong feelings for you? What in the world? You think it's romantic? You think it's romantic? Oh, I didn't know. It's just that he was so, like, he didn't even look at me in the eye. He was so aloof. He always spoke to everybody else and not me. And the way that he used to speak with me in our projects, he was so harsh, but it's only because he loved me so much and he cared so much about me. And so wanted me to basically pull in my weight and do my best by treating me the harshest out of all the colleagues in the room. He was just super critical of me because he really cared and he knew that I could do better. He's not your boss. He's also not your boot camp trainer that's out here teaching you to toughen up, straighten up, fly right because you don't know who your enemy is. He is a man that is trying to be your husband. He is supposed to wear his heart on his sleeve. He is supposed to show you that he wants you to do better. He's supposed to care. He's supposed to basically give you preferential treatment. And when he doesn't give you preferential treatment, he evidences that, like I said, he is rather like your boot camp instructor at weight loss camp. He's not going to take prisoners. He's not going to take your nonsense lying down. He's not going to spoil you, coddle you. He's not going to treat you like a little baby because you must be trained, disciplined to get your own act together. Get up and walk, straighten up and fly right. I'm not going to chase after you like your baby. Get up, soldier, hot, hot. When a man treats you like that, but you're his girlfriend, his wife, hot. I'm not going to show you how I love you because I want you to get yourself disciplined, hot. You must understand how this love thing works. You must just get that I love you, hot. Straighten up, do better, but on the odd day, trainer, boot camp instructor will, share all. He'll spill the beans because you're so discouraged. You're so discouraged that now you want to quit boot camp. Then only he's like, no, I've only been hard on you because I wanted you to do better. I knew you could push yourself. That's why I've been harshest to you in comparison to everybody else, because I knew you could be the best. I've only been treating you like trash because you were the best girl in the room. You're not my boot camp trainer, you idiot. You want to be my husband. You better treat me like a spoiled kid, because if not you, who else? Because everybody else in this world treats me like a boot camp trainer. You must treat me like the coddled kid that must be fed everything spoon-fed, spoiled like a grandmother out here spoiling the grandchild. That's how a husband is supposed to be to a wife. Spoil her, not treat her like some hard task master that's trying to bring out the best in a person living in a killer world, in a big world that is mean. What are you going to be, one of the big monsters I must fight as my husband? Be afraid, be very afraid. Walking down the aisle to a man like that, honeybee, walking down the aisle to a little monstrosity of that crazy nature, my darling, is going to finally, once and for all, once you say, I do, Gavuma, you will wake up in such a tumultuous, hot war somewhere in the middle of the Middle East, or in present-day Sudan. You will find yourself in the Gaza Strip for a marriage, when yesterday you thought you were sleeping soundly in your bed in some tranquil, war-silent terrain. And then you will wake up to have the smoke screen removed from your eyes to discover that you're slap bang in the middle of the Ukraine, right before Russia shells your Winstel, your particular flat townhouse complex, killing the granny and 2 of her grandbabies. You will find yourself in the center of a war zone after I do. You've been there all along, but the devil knows how to put a smoke screen over your eyes to think that you're safe with a man. But you will have had enough evidence to understand that you are in a terrible relationship. You are not to marry this guy. In the run-up to, God will have been gracious to show it to you. And Proverbs 6 highlights what are some of those flaws that you're going to find. He's going to be arrogant. You won't be prepared to tell you that he loves you. He will be full of lies. You will have caught him lying once or twice. Hey, I don't even want to give you my stories because there are many, and I've been speaking for a minute and I want to get off this video already, especially considering my phone is pressurizing me to charge it every 2 seconds. But the guy in the US claimed to me that being as his dad was half Chilean and half American and his mom was fully American, that he, being I guess a quarter Chilean or whatever you want to call it, that he could speak Spanish. And he said he could. When then I asked him questions about in Spanish, I can't speak Spanish, but I wanted him to basically, I would say a sentence and say, please tell me what it is in Spanish. He could just say things like sí and señor, just the basic rudimentary stuff that even I understand. I was like, dude, it's like you asking me if I can speak Tswana. When I say yes, honey, understand, I can. Even though yes, it's broken every so often. And how can something ka Setswana? Nka explain it. What is a table in Tswana? Can I please go to the tax shop? I can say that, even though some words elude me because I'm not perfect in the language. I can, however, successfully say that I can speak Tswana. Yeah, the guy will literally say that. The guy, I personally, like I said, I can speak Tswana largely, even though there are holes in my dialect. So I mean, I did not expect him to speak fluent Spanish, especially considering he grew up largely in the US. The dad largely was in the US. He had babies with a whole bunch of American women that can't speak Spanish. The dad was largely absent, so I didn't expect him to have a thorough grasp of the language. So therefore, upon me asking him, can you speak Spanish? He was supposed to say, only as much as any kid that would study Spanish in school in the US can speak Spanish. Pretty much with the same level of proficiency that I, as Karabo, can speak Afrikaans. Ek weet van 'n tafel. Ek gaan by die skool môre. I'm going to the school tomorrow, and even then, that's probably not even the right way to say it. I understand a couple of words. If somebody spoke in Afrikaans slowly enough, I might be able to tell you generally what they were saying. But I can't say to a person when they ask me, since I grew up in South Africa and went to a school where I was trained Afrikaans and had a couple Afrikaans friends, say that I can speak Afrikaans. I can't. Only as much as grade 1 to matric gave me. And even then, I dropped the ball violently and lots of it I've forgotten. That guy understood Spanish largely the way that I understand Afrikaans, and even less. Because his inability to tell me basic words in Spanish tells me that it wasn't even like what I've got grasped with Afrikaans. A school is a school, and onderwyseres is a female teacher, and onderwyser is a male teacher. An yskas is a fridge. Ek as a Suid-Afrika citizen, I don't even know what that is. A boodskap is a letter. Like, yeah, he could like basic stuff. I think Adrek's kinder is it Afrika? Not Afrikaans. Afrikaans is Afrikaans. Geography, or is it history? Well, I don't know. I just know that it is a subject. This guy couldn't even give me basic words in Spanish. He was here, there, and everywhere, and he was like, I'd have to look it up. If it was so primary a language that you would tell me that you can speak Spanish, dude, you were supposed to say yes, and then go on to elaborate what it is in Spanish, what I'm asking you. And if at all you don't have a proper grasp of the language but only have a couple of words here and there, I was not going to judge you. Nobody out here that I'm fraternizing with, upon asking me, seeing as I'm from South Africa and he understands the nuances of South Africa enough to ask if I can speak Afrikaans, is going to be disappointed that I just don't quite have a grasp of the language. He's not going to be disappointed. He's just going to be like, oh, okay, well, I know that a couple of South Africans can speak Afrikaans. I guess you can't. That's all that would have been. That's all that would have been. I wouldn't have been disappointed that I don't have an Espanol chilling in my backyard. I would have just been like, oh, okay, well, seeing as your dad is half Chilean, I figured that maybe you might know how to speak some Spanish. If you don't, it's okay. Even my dad was barely around in my life, and so for those reasons, my Zulu is nothing to write home about. I don't even know what my dad spoke, because so angas. But he lied. That's what I'm getting at. About something so basic as like just a conversation, a point of conversation, a conversation starter. Oh, your dad is half this. Can you speak Spanish? Oh, okay. Well, I thought that maybe you might anyway. So what do you like to do as a pastime? It was that kind of conversation, and the guy decided to lie with such rudimentary stuff. What then of big matters, big issues, big fat chunky life things, guys? Like, he wouldn't even tell me. He certainly confessed that he'd been to prison before, but when I probed even deeper into that, he wouldn't tell me truly why he was there. So I still don't know 100% what was with him in that joint all those times that he went, because it wasn't just once. What was I doing with the guy that was so in and out of jail? That's just the mindset of the saint. You be out here thinking that a person is recovered and rehabilitated, and so therefore you're not going to hold them hostage to their criminal record. I was being a total Christian about it, but in being a total Christian, I was being too Christian because I was turning the other cheek and ignoring and turning a blind eye and not holding a record of past wrongs, to a point of putting myself in harm's way, because a guy was evidencing with his fruit that he wasn't even born again at all, and so therefore I was still dealing with a criminal, not a recovered criminal or a rehabilitated criminal turned Christian. He was just a criminal, so I was in danger. Anyway, he was a liar. If at all I had walked down the aisle to that guy, it would not have been the fact that he lied about speaking Spanish. That would have been the only lie that he would have slid into my space. He would have lied about so many other things. He would have cheated. He would have been dishonest. He would have stolen money. He would have, he wouldn't even confess to me or tell me. It wasn't even a matter. Well, it's not like I was grilling him like a judge and he was on a stand under oath. He would not tell me basic things like what he did for a living to make money. He was just a dishonest guy. My dude, the one from the US, was an extreme case of this level of deception of Janus and Jambries, but some of y'all's Janus and Jambries are just smooth criminals, like Michael Jackson. They're smooth criminals in the sense that they're not just out of jail. There's nothing that could raise hairs at the back of your neck or whatever concerning this activity, but there's enough for you to run on. There are enough lies that are told that are material that you cannot afford to slip underneath the carpet. Like for instance, there is a guy among these men that wanted to slide into my space that was thoroughly plotting and scheming. So I guess I'm blessed because I've got a spiritual gifting, right? He was plotting and scheming, coming into my space and chatting me up a whole chunk, and not let me know that he has a daughter, not let me know that he has a child. I mean, that's material information. Others want to slip underneath the carpet the fact that they took out amandwendwe lobola, a customary marriage essentially that confirms a woman as somebody's spouse. Once you've taken out lobola, you are officially married under the customary law in this country, whether or not your marriage is recognized under the common law. You're married when you take out lobola. That's it. He is your husband. Once he's taken out lobola, he's your husband. Others wanted to conceal that they were ever married because, according to the Home Affairs, they're still single, because they did not register their marriages under the customary law, and so therefore Home Affairs still sees them as single even though Bansitiri Lobol. That is a contract that God sees in the heavens, and so therefore this man is a married man. These guys go on right ahead to break up with these baby mamas that they decided to take out lobola for ever so briefly because of the fact that there was a child involved. When they break up, nobody gets an official divorce, nobody gets an official separation. They just move their own separate ways, and they try not to raise it again next time when they're dating new women. That, hey, there's a woman that I took out 30,000 rands lobola for. There's a woman, but we never got to the point of signing at the Home Affairs. We never got officially married under common law, a white wedding or whatever. But it's a marriage. Lots and lots of people in this country, in Africa, only go through a customary union, and they regard themselves as spouses when they're 40, when they're 70, when they're 90, on their 25th year anniversary, whether or not they did the white wedding, and even officially got themselves surname changed and everything at the Home Affairs, regard themselves as husband and wife, even if the government has not recognized it. So if at all that person is your spouse by honest people that admit that lobola, kilinyano, you therefore are duping a woman into adultery when you don't confess that you took out amachadi for some other chick somewhere along the way. You dupe people. And I've got these rules that I function under, of course, in Christ. I don't believe in marriage and remarriage, not because it's my rules, but because it's God's rules. That's how it is that this whole game goes. And these guys so desperately want me that they're prepared to slip their baby mamas, never mind baby mamas, but customary marriages under the carpet and act as if they've never been married, because according to the Home Affairs paperwork has it that they're single. There is a website in this country where you can type in your ID number and it'll tell you if you're single or married. I forgot what it is, but I tried it long ago and it indeed popped up single, never been married, right? It'll tell you if you're single, divorced, married, whatever, because you actually got registered at the Home Affairs. It's there for your usage as a South African citizen, because there are some crazy, shoddy thieves and ridiculous ones in these streets, ridiculous souls in these streets that'll out you, find your ID, pick it up on the floor because you lost it when you were commuting with a taxi, go free, and then they will go marry you at the Home Affairs. They will literally, this country, I can't, okay? Like, how do you walk into the Home Affairs with somebody's ID and then say, this is my wife, and they just take it? Like, foreigners that want South African citizenship will double with your ID that you lost and marry you, and they will take your ID to the Home Affairs, and some lazy person at the Home Affairs will not insist on seeing the person in the ID. They will simply map you and this person with a Zimbabwean ID document as spouses, and after a couple of years he will then qualify officially as a citizen. It's literally crazy. We don't have the same kinds of rigorous 10-step processes that are involved in getting South African citizenship. When you were married to a South African citizen in this country, like in the US, they will literally interview you a couple of times to ascertain that you're not out here messing with the system just to get a green card. In this country, you just like walk into Home Affairs, hop in there, and after 5 years you can gain citizenship. Yeah, so that whole system was put up for us lay Janes and lay Joes that might have lost our ID cards at the club to punch in our ID numbers after you get a new one at the Home Affairs to double check that nobody married you or whatever. That system where a person can easily just go on Google, type in their ID number and discover that, I'm still single. Men are be trying to put that in your face on some, look baby, I'm still single, when and nobody went to the Home Affairs to change surnames and validate, because indeed under customary law, you're married, right? Because but it is only when you go and you register yourselves at the Home Affairs are you going to be regarded by your government as married. It's a contract before God. Like, honor, be reverent before a holy God, to recognize that even if you get married in a desert, nowhere near structures of census taking by your governments, as soon as you say I do in the wilderness, before a couple of witnesses, including God, whether or not it takes you 10 years to get to an official government to register that marriage is irrelevant, because before God you are married. He is the be all and end all of ultimate governor, and once you make a contract before him, you are married. That's why all women suffering from gender-based violence and deception are equal, but some women suffering from gender-based violence and deception are more equal than others. Literally, Christianity makes all the difference, because when you're in Christ, you will be told by the Lord, things will just pop up out of the woodworks. If you're Karabo, you might get it in a dream or a vision because you're blessed, you've got a spiritual gifting, but sometimes the Lord will make this dude Aja walk in a Freudian slip one too many times for it to be happenstance. Or you will go to the mall on your date, after all you do love Milky Lane ice cream, and while you're at the Milky Way, some woman will rock up out of nowhere, be like, hi Jabu, hi Temba. He will shuffle in his pantyhose, only for you to overhear, or for her to pretty much blurt out that, goodness gracious, and to think that I let you take out Mahadi for me. It's so funny. They're broken up. She's out here doing her own thing at the store, and then you come to learn that this here is his ex-wife. Like, they will literally hide things so big as ex-wives. Never mind under customary marriages. From what the Lord showed me, some of them have actually been officially married and divorced under the common law, as in registered at the Home Affairs, as in some other women once upon a time walked around these streets with his surname, and then they got divorced, but there were no children. And so because of that, he's trying to actually look like he's as single as he was when he was in grade 10 in high school, when he meets you, and then tries to marry you and says that, but divorce is a technicality. When you have no reverence for God, you will consider divorce a technicality when you're trying to marry another one. You have no regard for contracts. It's written in God's word in 2 Timothy 3 that among the character flaws of men in the last days and women is that they're going to be truce breakers, promise breakers, covenant breakers. So they will have no regard for the promises they made to people. Like, you're my husband, I'm your wife. They will have no regard for contracts. Contracts like marriage, the covenant therein, it's heavy in the sight of God. It's a whole big thing. Like, it's a spiritual, big, fat, chunky thing. And yet they will just glide it to the left, slide it to the right, like an unchosen person on Tinder, and then move on to the next one. Out here manufacturing in the 21st century a whole bunch of Elizabeth Hurleys. Like, when as a woman you're content with being married to multiple men, when back in the day it was taboo to be Elizabeth Hurley, you do read, or is it Taylor, that woman that had many husbands? There was upon a time when that was taboo, but now having 3-4 spouses is nothing. It's not as taboo as, because there is just no respect or honor for the institution of marriage and for the contract, the covenant that is created therein by God. And when you traipse into the life of a godly person and then you subjugate them to the tyranny of adultery when they've been waiting on God for a husband for, in my case, 13 years, what are you doing? A person that's been celibately waiting for God for a husband for over a decade, and then the first thing they hop into is an adulterous marriage where you are marrying someone whose ex-wife is still alive and she's walking these streets. In some instances, these guys literally want to hide a child or children for long enough to get the woman so swooned, so whooped, so whipped, so besotted with him that when then it becomes clear that he's got 2 sons, for you it'll be like, ugh, but I love him. He doesn't award you the opportunity to make an informed decision yourself if you want to be an instant stepmom to teenage boys. He just wants to make you fall so violently head over heels that from first date, second date, third date, the time when he took you on Table Mountain and then back down again, the time when he in the cable car told you he wants to make you his future wife, throughout that whole time he didn't see that it was a material bit of information to highlight that he's got 2 boys by some woman that he almost married but didn't quite marry. Indeed, if you want to be an instant mom to 2 boys, you can, legally under Christ, insofar as he didn't marry the baby mama. You are just gonna have to accept that you're going to be the mom of 2 inherited kids. But that's information that ought be at your disposal literally from the first date. From the first time you speak on the phone, the first time he hollers at you wherever, he should put it even in a WhatsApp. I got 2 kids. Are you cool with being with a dude that has kids? But these guys know how I feel about that, in particular, Karabo one. So I have had dreams of the Lord showing me that some of them literally want to hide that they've got kids or a kid until I'm so in love that I'll be like, ugh, but. The dude in America at least was honest from the get-go, made it clear that he had 2 kids by 2 different baby mamas, one of the kids of which he wasn't in the life of. But the Holy Spirit told me those are the only 2 that he confessed to, so he wasn't that honest. But he certainly did tell me from the get-go, and I decided, because I was desperate, to accommodate it anyway, because I'm like 37. At the time I was 37, I'm 40 now. Now I don't care. But that is the kind of information that is material enough to be highlighted on a first date, like the fact that you took out mahari for someone, like the fact that you were once engaged to someone even though you didn't get married. You can still marry a guy like that, even though Hans Mahadi, you were just engaged, as in he went to Stearns, bought a ring and was like, well, you marry me, dinero, and then things fell apart. He didn't get to the point of paying lobola. That's a man you can marry because it is a marriage proposal that fell through. But a person that paid lobola and a person that walked down the aisle, or was walked down the aisle to, unless that person that he married is now today 6 feet under, you cannot marry them. Otherwise you enter into an adulterous affair. That's the Bible. The scriptures are clear. And these people lie to deceive you into making such heinous mistakes as these, because apparently it's a technicality. It's a religious technicality, evidencing therefore what little reverence they have for God and his laws, his precepts. And if they have no reverence for the laws of God and for God therefore in something that they call so small as it's just a technicality, it's just a divorce, that is a person that therefore has no reverence for God at all pertaining the rest of his precepts, because at the end of the day it's just murder, it's just cheating, it's just one girl, it's just a kiss. If you can say it's just divorce, or it's just conveniently neglecting to mention that I've got a son, so a lack of transparency, it is also going to be just a slap. You cannot trust a liar, especially when he lies about such material information. Even if the information is not material, especially if anything, it's not material. It's like this is a non-issue, it's a non-mention. Why lie about it? The guy from the US lied about him knowing Spanish. It was a non-mention. It was an irrelevant topic. It was not something that could have been a deal breaker. It was just a conversation starter that would not have landed him in any kind of hot water, but because he was trying to impress, he impressed me with a lie. The lie of which I was quickly able to unravel as a lie, but I lingered on that for a little minute longer. For what good reason, I don't know. Like I said, I was in a lot of pain, and so I took a lot of trash in my stride. But a person of Wang Maka, you can't, okay? You literally can't. You can't, especially Maka irrelevant Kaka. You literally cannot. For the life of you, you will perish at the hands of a merciless psychopath. You will die because you let it go that a dude told you that he's been to the United Arab Emirates for a week and chilled in a restaurant, go Dubai, one time on holiday, and then came back to South Africa with an expensive Louis Vuitton purse that he bought at the airport for half the price. I mean, that is an elaborate story that can be told to your children. But if it's a lie, just so the guy can impress you about his globe-trotting feats. What else can he lie about? If he can lie to you trying to impress you, he can lie about much bigger things. These are the red flags, and God will tend to vomit them in your face all throughout the season of time when you're being courted, trying to lead into marriage. You'll have enough. Yeah, okay. So lies are a thing. And if you're a Christian, a man should basically strive for truth in whatever capacity, because it's just the right thing to do, and the Holy Spirit will enable anybody indwelt by him to love the truth, okay? To speak the truth, to not embellish information, especially not when they're trying to marry, alright? Trying to trick a woman into marriage is not a Christian discipline. It's not something that a man that's genuinely godly would do. So a man that's full of tricks up his sleeves is not godly, and you will know if a guy is full of tricks up his sleeves. Character is something that, like true character, a person's true character cannot be hidden for indefinite periods of time. When you are spending a lot of time with somebody, if you miss certain hints or signs, it's because you were ignorant. No, not ignorant to them. You were chosenly ignorant. You went out of your way to brush them off because you were just so intoxicated by love, by the prospect of marriage, by finally getting yours, that you overlooked glaring red flags. Okay? Hands that shed innocent blood, that one you're not going to see until pretty much you're under his knife, alright? But they tend to be occult practitioners. A heart that deviseth evil imaginations. Listen, imaginations. A man that is plotting and scheming to win you by any means necessary, using all different kinds of reverse psychology and psychological methods of manipulation, is not supposed to be your husband. Like a trickster. Like, what in the world? It's easy to bust them, especially when you're full of honesty. Largely, the Lord God Almighty will make it a point to reveal something that he has hidden underneath a table. He will show to you those which are his true colors. It is your responsibility to grab your bags and get out, no matter how much you're in love, okay? A heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, and feet that are swift into running into mischief. A guy whose honesty you cannot gauge from the get-go. The guy in the US, like I told you, he was just abandoned in and out of prison. Not only that, he just could not confess to me, let me know what he does to make money. That on its own was a red flag, but you know, I lingered because I was what women tend to be when they want to find love no matter what, by any means necessary. Chosenly ignorant, like I was fooling myself into thinking that I was going to be safe in that ecosystem. And then a false witness that speaketh lies, a false witness that breathes out lies. You can never really tell or know when somebody is lying against someone that you do not know. But these people will lie in your face about you. They will lie in your face about you. I have a sibling that is used mightily by the devil against me. And this person will stand in front of me and lie to me about a truth that I know is a lie. For instance, there was a day when she was arguing with me long ago. I stopped arguing with her because I found a strategy to survive her. You know, those headphones and everything? Yeah. But back when I was still listening to her nonsense, she looked me in the eye. Seeing as she's my sister, we had been in communication with each other pretty much all our lives. When I was taking myself through school, paying my own fees at Wits, she was privy to that. We would speak on the phone. I would lament to her on some, oh, fees are so expensive every year. There was a year when I asked her to help me out with my registration fee, and she paid all of it and didn't ask me for money back. She was essentially aware that I paid for my own fees, taking myself through school, after my mom dropped the ball and did not pay my fees. And recently, by recently I mean months ago, because I stopped fighting and striving with her, I matured. Alright? She looked me in the eye and said, you ingrate. Ma took you through varsity all through it. Almost like she was paying for my fees while I was lodged as a warm body in a chair in corporate South Africa, as a whole thriving young professional, and my parents are still paying my fees. She spoke to me and said of me in my face, gazing into my eyes, and said that I'm an ingrate because I am completely disregarding of the fact that my mother paid for my fees while I enjoyed my salary in corporate South Africa. I paid my own fees. I've got the paper trail to show with the EFTs, the proof of payments that I emailed to Wits coming from my bank account. I don't even need to provide that proof. She was aware that I was paying my own fees because my mother was miserly, didn't even pay my fees when I was in school. I had to drop out of school, pay off the fees that she owed then only take myself back to school with personal loans and everything. And then she claimed that I was an ingrate, that after she took me to school, I then dared brazenly drop out. When I didn't drop out, they sabotaged me. They cost my entire future. And so I couldn't finish my remaining module at WITS. And then she called me a dropout in my face, that did this after, as a spoiled brat, throwing away hundreds of thousands of rands of my mother's hard-earned salary to take me to school only for me to just drop out. She said that to break my heart. It was a clear lie. And there was a time when I was ping-ponging, making like an idiot athlete at the Olympics, still out here competing when I've lost long ago. Ping-ponging arguments saying, "You're lying. I took myself to school, coupled with the fact that I didn't drop out. I was sabotaged, and I tried to go blah 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 like Papa." I was just rapping and rapping until it dawned on me by the Holy Spirit that, honey, that's what they're trying to do. In 2 Timothy 2, I believe it is written that a soldier must not partake in civilian affairs. That we as saints of the living God are not to partake in worthless quarrelings, babblings, just rapping with unbelievers. That we must not allow ourselves to partake in coarse jesting and random fruitless conversations, because this is the kind of stuff that's going to tend you towards evil. But the wicked, knowing that the devil is the one that works in them. No man sends themselves to hell willingly. They're deceiving and being deceived. If they knew what was in it for them to do this thing, they would stop. If they knew that they would lose love and eventually their souls, they would stop. But self-deceived and blinded by the god of this world that blinds the minds of unbelievers will literally stand in front of you, performing the feats of Satan, and lie in your face with you knowing the raw, the truth, and able to hook up a paper trail with evidence. It's not about the fact that you can prove that they're lying. It's about the fact that they got to get you all riled up and therefore sin against God in being riled up. You might end up releasing expletives, swearing at the top of your throat. You might end up, because of trying to prove that somebody is lying, walk in ways that are sinful. The intention is to get a reaction out of you that's going to decimate your credibility as a saint. So therefore, when you are arguing like this with someone against whom you've got a dossier of proof to prove that they're lying, just grab your earphones, put them in your ear, play gospel music loud, wash dishes, do what you need to do, get out, so that you don't fight. In your anger, do not sin, do not let the sun go down in your wrath. That is what a narcissist and a person that you are married to that is an unbeliever will flat out do to you. Y'all understand you are in danger when you let yourself marry an unbeliever. You are in danger, especially in 2025. Not only will they lie and act like they don't dig you in the run-up to, even though they're in love with you, not only will they treat you like the scum of the girl of the earth in the room when you're the one that they rather want to be with, not only will they bear false witness, not only will they conceal information that you will slip under the carpet because, ooh, you're in love, but they will lie to your face now that you're all in the relationship, now that you're all deep in it, now that you can't get out because you're married. Now that you can't get out because you're married, or at least it's going to be really rough for you to get out now that you're married. He's basically kind of trapped you, right? Now that you're in this, and it's going to be that much harder for you to escape. He will tell you lies in your face that you know are lies that have got a paper trail that you can prove in your favor. Basically, the data, the exculpatory evidence is in your favor, and he will conjure these up in your face when you've got 10,000 witnesses to testify to your veracity concerning this matter. He will lie in your face anyway. Not because, yes, he is that narcissist and he enjoys just getting you riled up, you crawling up a wall like a demon-possessed person, like you're Emily Rose, out here crawling up the wall like you're a fly with sticky legs. Not only will you get you crawling up the wall like that, his entities are thoroughly trying to get that reaction out of you. They're trying to get you to literally lose your cool. The Bible, so many places therein it is written, be still, be still, be still, chill, relax, don't be anxious for anything, but in all things by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving make your request known to God, and his peace which transcends all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. The scriptures are littered with instruction to just shut up and hunker down. Wait for the Lord, because he is your justice. He is your vengeance. But a person that keeps on lying in your face like this will get you to take matters into your own hands. Do you understand? You will not turn the other cheek. You will not be a doormat that they will walk on, that the Lord might be your justice. You will take matters into your own hands. You will thoroughly dig up all different kinds of caskets just to prove that you are right, and in so doing you will sin heinously. You will sin. It's not like my sister did not know the truth of what was truly going on. It's that her entities, including her narcissism, because she is deceiving and being deceived, it's that she wanted to get that reaction out of me. Once I wisened up, straightened up, flew right, I realized that I'm best off walking around carrying headphones in my ear that are blasted at the height of noise, even though I'm risking my hearing later on in the future, because rather that than sin against God, enter heaven maimed, than to enter heaven with your body parts intact, than to enter hell fire with your body parts intact. Rather go to heaven deaf, because for years you kept on listening to blasting music in your ear just to drown out a person that is being spoken through by an entity. Rather end up deaf with no hearing, because you did that for 5 years on a loop, messing with your hearing. Rather end up wearing a hearing aid as an old lady, even though it doesn't run in your family, to lose hearing when they get older. Rather end up with that for a problem. Long story short, enter heaven maimed, than to go to hell with your body parts intact, having hearkened to your wrath, taken matters into your own hands, and decided to retaliate against somebody that you could easily prove you were right concerning, but that you decided to do it your own way like your Frank Sinatra, and so sinned against God. Enter heaven maimed. So, see, and that's the lie that my sister told, but in the case of a husband, it would be somebody basically making like Shaggy. You caught him red-handed with your next door neighbor, the lady that lives downstairs from your apartment. You saw him in traffic with her in the passenger seat. Aipupile. Literally, Elema Kwapeni wa your husband. It is his number plate. You took photographs. You saw him in traffic when you were at the Woolies, literally driving. In his vehicle, in the passenger seat, is your downstairs neighbor. This chick is always flirting with your man. She's always looking at him some kind of way. She is licentious. She's, what is the word that I'm looking for? Scantily clad. She goes out of her way to basically seductively walk around in front of your husband. You are aware that this chick is no good. You have women like those that are to be trying to stumble other people's husbands. You know that. And then one day that girl is in your husband's passenger seat, and then you get home, you've got the paper trail, you've got the photographs, and when you called him during the time when he was with her, Aipupile, in the passenger seat, he answered, "Hey babe, how are you? I'm good. Where are you?" "I am chilling at this particular joint, and I'm trying to figure out if I should buy this can of beans or that one. What do you think?" "Oh, buy that other can of beans. Anyway, so where are you right now? How far are you from home?" And then he's like, "No, I'm in the parking lot. I'm about to go inside the house." He's parked outside of a restaurant that he has just exited with his nyatsi, your downstairs neighbor. And he lies in your face. You take photographs of him at that venue, and then when you are arguing at home, he makes it look as if though you're stalking him. He makes it look as if though you're the one that's following him around. How dare you ask him where he was when you knew that he was at the restaurant with the nyatsi? And then he twists it around and says, "I didn't tell you where I was at because I knew that you would jump to conclusions. I was just giving that chick a lift because she wanted to go to the store and I was on my way there anyway. As for being at the restaurant, I was just parked there. I was not actually eating at the restaurant." Kana kwatenge, this chick was chilling aipupile, literally in a flirtatious mode with your husband. It was not perturbing, neither phasing to her, that he was lying to you in front of her, because that's how mistresses be. By here batola, and they just take it in their stride that their man, your husband, their boyfriend, your husband, is lying to you in front of them. It's like it's a rush for them or something. Okay? Yeah, whatever. With all this data, you will ping pong to and from with this bugger in the house, and you will somehow make it look like you are an uncontrollable, unstable woman that is a surveiller. He will treat you like unruly police that have put on him the audacity and ankle monitor, and so you can't go anywhere. He will act as if though you have put a tracker in his underwear so that he cannot take it off without it beeping. He will treat you like you are some kind of strange, over-surveilling popo when you are not necessarily surveilling him. You just happen to see his car and then basically stake out that area because it's your husband after all, and then discover that he's there with a nyasi. He will turn it on you. He will deny. When then you get tapped on the shoulder off by some strange woman at the mall talking about how she's having an affair with your husband, like Mary Jane with Avery in Being Mary Jane. He will then deny and say that everybody's jealous of your marriage. And when then you insist on talking with this woman to ask why did she lie about your husband, he will then be like, why just somebody that keeps on using reverse psychology tactics, etc. And then when things get super extreme with you embracing these kinds of lies in your stride, now you've got children a couple of years down the line. And even though you made agreements in the beginning as to what you're going to do with your kids' education, one day when money is missing from the fund of the kids' education and you raise it as an issue, this guy's then going to be like, but we agreed that should there be an emergency, we're going to tap into this fund and see what we can do to fund it later. Meanwhile, this dude is out here brokering strange business deals using your children's university fund, and he will in your face lie to you and say that you agreed that under extreme circumstances in emergencies you can tap into the kids' tertiary fund to fund a business endeavor. They lie, but it starts with him saying that he can speak Spanish. It starts with him telling you only on your third date that he's got 2 sons. It starts with him conveniently neglecting to highlight that he took out lobola for some other chick 3 years ago. And now that you're married, it's just going to keep on piling, and he will patronize you like the way that my sister used to patronize me. In my face, lie to me about something for which I have got piles of evidence. It is to rile you up. Now, if you want to be in the front lines of battle with a husband of that nature, you will be unequally yoked with an unbeliever. Do you understand? He is an unbeliever, and so by mere virtue of marrying one, you put yourselves in the front lines. And when you're in the front lines, you need to be prepared, able, if you're gonna survive. Lady, do you understand? To bring out the necessary weaponry for the kind of entity you are fighting. Now, seeing as Christians sometimes drop the ball, some days you are lazy to pray, some days you are lazy to fast, some days you are lazy to enter into worship for 2 hours just with your eyes closed and you communing with God and tears trickling down your face in the season of which you're blasting the furnace against dark entities. Seeing as largely, or not largely, but a lot of times, we drop the ball on spiritual activity that can humiliate the kingdom of darkness. It is important to be married to someone in whose climate and in whose presence you are not perpetually in danger of being pounced on by a strange entity that's going to manifest through them. As saints, we are not perfect. Even Paul says when you marry each other, understand you're going to be in a striving because it's 2 sinners getting married. But when it's 2 sinners saved by grace, we don't have a risk here of a person manifesting demons, get it? And so therefore you don't know what's going to come out, because entities that lie dormant in under normal circumstances, relatively okay people to be in the company of, will manifest such menacing behavior in the climate of a saint that even their own family members will say of them, that was so out of character. How could my son kill his wife? How could my son slap his wife? How could my son do this thing? People do things that are so weird and out of character in the climate of saints that you can't put yourself in a marriage with an unbeliever. It's bad enough having a bad friend manifest nasty to you. At least she's a friend. You can tell her, I don't want to see you for 3 weeks. But when you sleep in the same bed with somebody and you owe them dutifully as a wife, rights, conjugal rights, you can't just say, I'm leaving. Irreconcilable differences. You have to try and make it work. And when you can't work with someone because the devil is making sure that they can't work with you, you can't negotiate, you can't talk, you can't reach a middle ground, you can't compromise, you can't reach a settlement. There is no arguing with a demon-possessed person because they are being motioned by Satan to get to you, drive you up a wall like some insect, that you might sin against God. The intention is to mess with your credibility as a witness. It is to ascertain that your works in the kingdom of God are fluffy, lackluster, at best, compromised. That's all that you can do when you are married to an unbeliever. Essentially drop the ball perpetually as a saint. You will enter heaven as through the fire, but it will be so much of a striving for you to maintain righteousness. A godly man is not going to manifest entities that have been lying dormant in him because he has not been around Christians. And then suddenly when he's in front of a saint, he's out here manifesting aggression. He's out here battling my ex-boyfriend. So as to prove to you that people have got demons pretty much all their lives, but they don't know it. They can actually be kind, smooth, good peoples until they meet saints. My ex-boyfriend, when I was being called by God and perusing the things of God, so the Holy Spirit was perpetually hovering around me and beefing up in girth, convicting me of sin, saving me for himself. During the season when I was questioning the things of God, asking, interrogating heaven, I was with that guy for 5 years. The thing that he manifested in the last 3 months of our relationship, I still don't know it to this day. He left such an ugly taste in my mouth, the way he was so rude, so mean. Something it's really out of that man that was just horrific, and I wasn't even born again yet. I was merely being called, encircled by the Spirit of God, convicted of sin, headed towards heaven. I had yet to open the door and enter in. Just conviction alone and spiritual activity and perusing the things of God alone made him manifest such hard-knocked demons that a rude dude popped out that I had not seen in 4.5 years of dating. What was that? What was that? That was a dormant entity chilling in a dude that's good peoples. He's kind, he's sweet, he's jocose. You're able to rest easy in him. No muntu right. Never raise a hand to a woman, never shout at a woman, and never be rude, never, yeah. And in the last 3 months of our relationship, I saw someone known like some tse because I was interested in the things of Jesus. So you can take a chance, you can go out on a limb and take a risk, okay? And marry an unbeliever, but understand Satan knows how to stay dormant until you're married. But the Lord is gracious enough to give you enough of the red alarms, the sirens, the red flags for you to get out on time. There will be enough. The devil will try to hunker down, but if the Lord has your back, there'll be enough manifestation, even though it's not the height of itself. It's not at the nth degree of what it could be. There'll be enough for you to flee. So understand that if a dude has already manifest something before you get married, what in the world is he gonna do once you are in the marriage? He's gonna kill you. Yeah, alright. This man will be swift to shed innocent blood. You will perish at his hands. Ever since I endured this level of gender-based violence at the hands of crazy, merciless men, especially in the occult, who have tried human sacrifice rituals against me, all I could ask myself was, I don't know how women that end up dead at the hands of their husbands or boyfriends, how they did not pick up that one day this could be a total thing, right? Like when you meet a dude at the mall playing bowling or whatever, and the two of y'all have a spark that you share, that you exchange, and you go on so many electric dates, only for one day for you to be underneath his smoking gun. How things get to a point, like how in the world could you ever foresee when you're chilling across a guy at a dinner table that he's gonna be the person that takes you out of the earth? My ex-boyfriend, like I like to say that so many of my exes, with the kind of character that they wear today now, because of their involvement in the occult, if I did not give my life to Jesus Christ, I would have died at one of their hands, especially the last one, which was the one that I was most likely going to end up married to. Kind of dude that no one would have ever fathomed could ever kill a girl, and also you could never fathom that that would ever be you under his hand. And yet you become one of those women that get taken off the earth like that by a lover, by a husband, a person of romantic interest. I guess you can't tell all the time, but with many women who have been killed before by boyfriends and husbands, according to stats, they tend to have been threatened before. There were signs that were glaring. They overlooked and brushed off relatively dangerous hints of the fact that they're gonna find themselves dead, because they thought that there's no way that this guy would ever do that to me. And some women that end up killed by men never endured any domestic violence in the run-up to. So they didn't get slapped, they didn't get hit, they might have gotten spoken to aggressively. But this was a person that has such a huge temper that every so often they just burst out into a fit of rage, even though they had enough self-control at that stage to stay themselves from hitting the woman. And also apparently 50%, listen to this, half of the women that passed, the half of the men that threatened, to kill women eventually did. 50%, like half of the men that say to women, I'm gonna kill you, do. Or they act in it and the women survive. They act on it, but the women survive. There tends to be enough for you to run with to know that you're in danger. I, however, have never endured such a violent boyfriend that he would threaten to kill me. But there have been psychopathic tendencies, weird little behaviors that were vomited throughout the time that we were together, passive aggressions that were enough red bells, warning sirens all up in my grill for me to get out already. But I was in the world at that time, and I would have married a guy that might have ended my life. The difference literally became when, upon turning 26 and being curious about God, I gave my life to God. At the age of 26, I was rescued out of a relationship that might have resulted in a homicide because of intrigue in the things of God. That same dude manifests such hectic, rude demons all up in my grill because of pursuit by Jesus of my person. That, of course, given that these entities tend to lie dormant in men until they kill women, whatever was in him was dormant. It was just sitting there like a beast, waiting for the right time to come home and roost. He had it in him. It took very long for him to do a death spell on me, the guy I was with for 5 years, but he did so far to date and counting too. They both failed, after which he let it go. But others are a lot more violent than him, who, from the first rejection, graduated to death curses, like the guy in America. I refused to get back together with him, and he then started casting spells on me for suicide. When then they would fail, he would then try bring back lost lover again. And on a loop, on and off, he's been bring back lost lover, suicide, bring back lost lover, suicide, death spell, love spell, death spell, love spell, death spell, love spell, death spell, love spell, just going on a loop pendulously. Others are unhinged at that degree. Others have to be pushed to get to the point of murder, but you can tell that there are already nuances in the very beginning. The guy from South Africa, some dude that I used to think was my future husband. I lingered on the prospect of the hope of him being my husband until I discovered that he couldn't be because he went and married another woman. Upon me learning that he married another woman, instead of letting go because, oh, the fun and games of a woman out here like chasing after my tail are over, instead of embracing these fun and games as over, and so moving on, the gladness he felt about being wanted by someone that he turned his back on, instead of letting it fizzle down because over, he decided that now that she knows that I'm married, she will never grovel at my feet again and lick my toes, so she gotta die. The guy then subjected me to so many suicide curses in like compacted measure over a string of months that I finally walked away from my YouTube channel so this guy would have no access to me, and only after a couple of months of